Hey, Chris Bernard here, Doc29 Consulting. Happy Monday. Welcome to the 11 a.m. Monday Morning Marketing Webcast. I have promised you something very, very special today, and it is very important. It is hitting major parts of the web in terms of rankings for products, but also services as well. We'll get that kind of insight here in just a moment. So I am going to apologize in advance. I am going to be sticking very closely to my show notes because there's a lot of information. So I will try to move that over on the center screen so at least it looks like I'm kind of talking to the camera. But also, before I get started, I want to ask you guys real quick. This office that I'm renting has this blue background. I am thinking about changing that color out. So if you guys have an opinion of that, our colors are obviously red, but red has a negative connotation to it in terms of, well, it can have a positive too. But generally speaking, I'm thinking of kind of like a light brownish like kind of color. Would kind of enhance some of the orange in this photo that my daughter did actually. And in the wider setup, I've got this like a kind of a tree bushes like brown thing. Sometimes you've seen it with the can down there, which is kind of cool. So definitely want to get your opinion of that. I am not the best when it comes to interior design stuff like that. Websites and things like that, I can kind of see stuff. But in terms of that, when I look, I'm like, I don't really care for that. So love your opinion there, feedback. Anyway, show notes. Okay, so let me go ahead and share my screen with you. The reason why we're talking about this, it actually is really, really, really important. So I'm going to go ahead and allow this. All right, so the review is this, right? So last week, let me just kind of bring this in just a little bit here. Hang on one sec. Technology issues, not really technology. There's more user. I have too many things up on the screen right now, but let's just give you an idea as to what we're talking about first, right? So I'm going to move this over so it looks like I'm actually talking to you, and I'm really not. All right, so 2 weeks ago, on the 8th of April, right, Google announced that they'd be doing some interesting things, and they were going to roll out this. Actually, they were announcing that they were rolling it out as of 1 p.m. On the 8th. But this Google product review update, and what it means essentially is, well, let me just go down the skinny, right, with it. All right, so it was launched on April 8th at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is a surprise. It will take about 2 weeks. So that would be, if we look at the 8th, this last week, so the 22nd would be 2 weeks. So we are literally halfway out of the rollout on this thing, and it's already causing major devastation / opportunities for those who care. And your business is obviously one of them. So it looks like it's doing product review content, although we have a quote that might tell us something a little bit different. They say it's not a penalty, all right? But it promotes rewards of, quote, insightful analysis and original research. Of course, Google's always looking at research, right? It is not a core update. You'll know that sometimes the algorithms, they're global. They affect various parts of the web, and they're foundational in terms of the search stuff. They say this is not the case, but I'm going to argue that potentially it is. And there's a couple reasons why. So just give me a moment on that one. English only right now. Impact. Let's see. I think they were asked by Search Engine Roundtable what the impact would be. Google couldn't at that time tell Search Engine Roundtable what the percentage of queries of searches impacted. But if you do a search, the easiest way to see because this doesn't matter if it doesn't matter to your business. If you search your product and service on Google, and there are reviews showing up, ding, ding, this affects you, right? So, or even sites that do reviews. So if you see reviews of any kind in there, this could very well impact you in how things are going. So you want to listen carefully, right? Let's see, this update will impact the performance of Google Discover. Yes. Recover. If you were hit by this, then you need to look at your content and see if you can do better with Google's advice below, which we will cover in just a moment. Google will do periodic refreshes to this algorithm that may not communicate those updates in the future. That's not a surprise either, by the way. Google typically doesn't do that. At least even the articles, you're like, guys, sometimes it affects people, sometimes it doesn't, right? Google added that the overall focus is on improving users' content, provides insightful analysis and original research content written by experts or enthusiasts who know the topic well. Again, we already covered how to determine if this is important to you, but literally just some really top line data, right? According to Google anyway, and this was a very recent study, 93% of people say online reviews have an impact on decisions, and 63% would pay up to, so more than 50%, 63% would pay up to 15% more if there's good reviews. So if you do a good job of this, guys, you can increase your average order size, right? In addition to that, you have an opportunity at the sale, which you may not have had before. So there's several advantages to this. That's only right then that the review pages should provide the best content possible. Yes, we all do this, right? Just naturally looking at search. So 2 quotes. Let me throw these up here from Mr. Danny Sullivan. If you guys don't, if you're into search, like you're actually doing this stuff day to day, obviously you probably know Danny Sullivan. I think is more popular when I was going through agency land here. But either way, he's still kind of involved here, right? He says, while the focus is on products, am I showing? Yes. While the focus is on product, service reviews may also benefit from this update. So what they're saying is, guys, whether you do a product or service, and I think probably all of us are in product or service territory, some more heavy than others, and you can use, it's obvious if you're selling product, right? But the service, depending on, and you can test this too, by the way, if you're an HVAC, air conditioning, right? You do a search for pizza, restaurant stuff, those reviews are right there. They're smack dab in your face. Literally everything is about that. You can do that when you do that primary search query or two, right, for your business. And if you're not, it's still considered probably a rankings algorithm adjustment at some point. Even though it's not core, it still might be there for us. Another one to follow is Mr. John Mueller. And he mentions that these kinds of changes tend to be on broader parts, be more on broader parts of sites or the sites overall. So the contra to that, folks, is that this could not just impact affiliates, but it can also provide an opportunity to reach out to other, if you're selling product or service online, these are opportunities for you to generate content that better answers the question. Now, this content's hard to get to. It takes some thinking about. So the ramifications of this, and I want to pull this up because if we don't, we're missing some of the, oh my God, that could be me kind of situations, right? So this one right here, and I for whatever reason, I can't find the pic of the bad one, but this is the opportunity, right? So this is from Lily Ray, and she's sharing some data in terms of the actual affiliate site with just, I would imagine these are impressions. I would imagine. It doesn't tell me anything different, but we see it on these other slides that were up here too. Guys, this is an opportunity for us, right, as content generators to do something really special. This is not easy content. Some of us, our agency has been focusing on it for a very long time. You identify your unique value proposition and then blow the heck out of every facet of it necessary using strategic keyword analysis to determine, what words matter, right? And then go out and build that content, right? Whether it's videos, whether it's page content, linking, all that, providing really good value. So at the end of the day, we're going to go down some of those action steps here. I can probably shut this off. As soon as I probably need a third monitor, I'm thinking. I think I need a third monitor. I probably need a third monitor. I'm going to go ahead and turn that off right there. So it's just me again. Oh, you can see my computer screen. Oh, that's kind of a bummer. Made an adjustment on the monitor height before we started this. So yeah. So let me go ahead and continue on my notes here. So the potential action steps, guys, really important with this. Okay, now that we've covered those tactic pieces, the two, yeah, that's what I've covered. Yeah, good deal. I'm going down my show notes, guys. Again, I'm going to try and stick to this because I don't want to miss any pieces. So two potential action steps are kind of result from this. One is it could change how brands are actually looking at reviews and what part of that affiliate network, right, that mix looks like. Affiliates that were doing this right were driving a certain number of leads or sales to the business. Certain ones that were maybe missing on this big piece of all these different things to be thinking about, which we'll cover in just a minute, they've lost some ground. So, does it really matter to you depending on how your affiliate program is set up in terms of what they're delivering? Yeah, because at the end of the day, if they're not reaching their customer or prospects or their content guests, then they're not driving business to you, and that's going to impact your business, regardless of whether you're paying for it or not. Okay, so that's one aspect. The other aspect, the other action step is, again, it should dramatically change how you view your content, all right, and what you're doing there. So what are those content pieces that we need to be adjusting for, right? So Google launched, they provided some quote unquote guidelines, right, for what we might be looking at. And again, they say this isn't a core update. To be quite frank with you, if it impacts search for your products or services, it doesn't matter what kind of situation they call it. If it's mattering to your search opportunities or your search business, then it's important to you, whether it's a core update or whether it's just a regular standard algorithm update or integration. All right, so first tip. The first tip is expert knowledge about products where appropriate, right? The second one, show what you're, and we'll address each and every one of these right after I get done with this, by the way, just to let you know, okay? Show that the product is like physically or how it's used with unique content beyond what's provided by the manufacturer. Provide qualitative measurements about how a product measures up in various categories of performance, right? So even across categories. Explain what sets a product apart from its competitors. Guys, you should have been doing this a long time ago and communicating that, right? We'll go over some of those liabilities here in just a minute and where we've missed, at least the patterns that we're seeing anyway. Cover comparable products to consider or explain which products might be best for certain uses or circumstances. Folks, features tell, benefits sell, right? So, we'll get into some of those things again that we see on a regular basis that kind of make it important. Discuss the benefits or drawbacks of a particular product based on research into it. Describe how a product has evolved from previous models or releases to provide improvements, address issues, or otherwise help users in making purchase decisions. Good. Identify key decision-making factors for product categories and how product performance is in those areas. For example, a car review might determine the fuel economy, safety, handling, key decision-making factors, and rate performance in those areas. The last one they have scoped out for us as task elements. Describe key choices and how a product has been designed or their effect on the users beyond what the manufacturer says. Okay, so these are the questions we need to be thinking about according to Google, right? So again, we already talked about those two big action steps, but those action steps culminate in some tangible pieces, right? The first tangible piece is multiple pages of content, media, video, right? Guest interviews, influencers, all that kind of stuff. But it's content that you're actually putting on or you've thought about methodically to put as core concept on your website. Now, when I told you before, I'm like, well, you could be looking at your affiliates and that could change. Well, that, in my opinion, is a secondary aspect. You need to be building the core product, the reviews, that content on your website, and then using those affiliates as a way to potentially drive business. So if, for example, somebody is going through the affiliate and maybe they don't like that affiliate, maybe they saw the content in there, but maybe they do another search query to either go directly to a page of yours to maybe buy direct, or it's one of the other elements when a prospect does a search, you've got multiple elements, multiple things that you could click in the search engine results pages, right? So the affiliate might be 2 or 3 and you're number 1 or vice versa. You have an opportunity to play in that game. There's no reason why you shouldn't be, right, doing that. Well, that requires you to know some of those other things we talked about. But either way, that core content needs to be there, okay? So how do we do that, right? So the first thing that I want to talk about was that the affiliates, right? Finding those right companies. And one of the ways we do that is to find influencers, right? Or find influencing brands. Usually it's influencers. And we can do that a couple different ways. We use a tool called BuzzSumo. that allows us to find those influencers, whether it's on YouTube or Facebook or Twitter, and then go ahead and basically kind of old school kind of connections. You find out who that author is. You look at some of the other posts they've done. They may have a LinkedIn profile, connecting that way, showing interest in their guests and trying to be helpful to them. If you have a product or service, to reach out to them and say, would you mind trying? Can I send you a free sample? Right. And I'd love to get your opinion of it to go through improvements and things like that. Those are the kind of things that are simple. Now, I mentioned BuzzSumo. They're not paying us. I'm just being transparent. That's the tool we use. Now, there's some limitations with that. As you reach out, especially if you're a B2B company and you reach out, content management is so important. Okay, so I was at I forget what was it. It wasn't PubCon. Which one was it? Was it the Content Marketing Conference in Cleveland? I don't remember now. But they had the VP of marketing at Bank of America, and they had the panelists. They had like 5 different panelists up there, right? And he was telling me that literally they find their influencers, right? And then they go ahead and put them in like in an Excel document. I'm like, dude, we do that. That's crazy. There's no tool, right? So I went based on a client's need recently, started to do analysis. And this is where I could also use your help, guys, because maybe you find influences better than BuzzSumo can. And then LinkedIn, by the way, the LinkedIn Business Sales Navigator is really a great tool to find people. Go ahead and do that. I think we have another video post on LinkedIn too. So you can go look at marketingwebcast.live. And I think it's probably about halfway down the page. There's 2 sessions, not 1, but 2 LinkedIn, how to do that B2B sales stuff. Okay, so go check that out. But way down a rabbit hole on this one. We're looking at 2 other potential influencing tools. One of them is called Grin. I don't know. Do any of you, if you use Grin, let me know. I don't have chat up here, do I? No, I don't. No, that's something else. Now I got that on my screen. That's lovely. How do I get that off of here? I'm going to fold that away. Okay. So Grin is one of them. Reason I like Grin is because it plugs directly into like Outlook and Google Mail and stuff like that. So some of you might be using that. That is like so huge for us. Like, so if you have like an inbox that says info at, and you're using that as a promo thing, right? You talk about influencers and tracking posts and things like that. You can keep that record directly connected with Outlook. If we're using Outlook, for example, like in our case, that's fantastic. So that our sales teams we have 4 or 5 different salespeople working at any given time. We're going to go ahead and be able to do something with that extra special, right? So that's one thing. And this specific client has like 3 different people kind of doing customer service and things like that. So that might be helpful for them. The other one is Tagger Media, Tagger Media. And the reason why we like this is we love psychology here, cognitive, mental thinking, and in terms of how that relates to advertising or marketing. So this tool has some pretty neat kind of, let's just say, integrations that allow for that concentric, this is my understanding of it, that concentric circle theory of grabbing certain profiles. So if they have an influencer, there's certain people that are connected to that, and it helps, that tool directly applies insights to find even people within those realms to be able to communicate with and things like that. So that's kind of cool. We'd still be doing the Excel thing, potentially. I think it didn't tout that as something special. So maybe you guys can do that. And the third one obviously is LinkedIn, right? So LinkedIn is something that we use on a regular basis to connect with people. And I've shared with you on those other videos how that works. So long-winded situation there. Sorry about that, but it was helpful. To show what product is like physically. Okay. So, all right. So we're going to go down to this. So that was one. Express expert knowledge about products where appropriate, right? So go find those influencers. Go ask them to get involved, send them product, be nice, try to help build their brand. Stop being an idiot. Hey, my name is Chris Bernard. I have something to sell you. Like, try to be helpful. Try to be complimentary. They do a good job in certain areas. Compliment them. Follow them for a little bit. Send them a product. Ask them. Say, are you open to that? Always ask for that next step. Don't just assume that you can do that stuff. Found that that's exceedingly helpful. Unless you just want to give away a product. But if you're letting people kind of control what information they see and whatnot, that's generally a pretty good rule of thumb. Show what the product is like physically. So this was the second one Google was recommending, or how it's used with unique content beyond what's provided by the manufacturer. Did I do this? Okay, yeah. So features tell and benefits sell. Guys, I used to work at Home Shopping Network, and on the client side, actually. After agency side, then went to the client side, back to agency side, and I've kind of been on that for a while now. So features tell, benefits sell. We would get these, like the promo pieces from the manufacturer. One, if you could read them, they certainly were not written well. So for the love of God, understand which keywords are there at the bare minimum and write those into your content descriptions, appropriately, and header tags and all text tags and all that fun stuff. But beyond that, think about the customer standpoint. Features tell means that you can just write those things out if you want, but the benefits are really what they're buying. They're trying to solve a problem. So when you do that, you're thinking about how it's being used. You're thinking about where it's being used. What problems and challenges are often occur if they don't have that product, right, in their hand. And now you can get to work, right? So it sounds so logical, but likely if you're at the C-level company, you're somewhat disconnected with how that stuff is written. I'll be really honest with you. When we get into people's businesses, that's you guys might be great. The C-level top brass might be fantastic at generating that stuff, but this is where the rubber hits the road. And we've always had that statement, like you need to ask better questions. So you hire an SEO, you assume they know how to do their job, and your VP of marketing may be able to do, her job really well, and that marketing manager may be doing her job very well. But at the end of the day, if you're not asking better questions, you're just going to take what they say as biblical. And that's part of one of the things that, as a consultancy, that's what we end up doing, is coming in and making sure that everyone understands the process. Don't assume your SEO knows what they're doing. And don't assume just because your VP of marketing or your marketing manager is really good in certain areas, they know all of this stuff and can stay updated on it. If you need a consultant to come in, by all means, reach out. We can do a one-stop kind of analysis, evaluation, and figure that stuff out. But it's definitely there, right? Features tell, benefits sell. Your SEO, even your graphic designer. I have to tell you this. You just think the graphic designer gets the creative brief and they just do their thing. But again, if that SEO and that manager is not aware of these things and how do features tell, benefits sell, I know you think they should, but it's not part of the process. They don't do it. Where they can cut corners, they will in their time. They're not being bad people. It's just that time is of the essence. Okay. So trust me on this. Just if you need help, come on, call us. We'll figure this out. We'll work with you to make that happen. Provide qualitative measurements about how a product measures up in various categories or performance, right? So you should know why and how your product are better. And why your services are better. Remember, they came out with product. That's the name of this, but it's going to impact. It will and is impacting services, and it will continue to grow. So this is the opportunity to take action, folks. So have data, qualitative data, prove it. We are X faster. We save you X number of hours. The product will last X times longer. It will save you X dollars. And do that kind of analysis if you can. You're going to use an ingredient or a type of material. What's the advantage to it? Have some data with it. I know it sounds stupid and simple, but so many times we cut corners with this stuff and we don't understand those 4, 5, 6 major things that make our product kick butt compared to our competitors. And then we miss the opportunity to connect them with data, to share the actual insight, whether that's a short video clip, those kind of things. This really is an opportunity, guys, to be able to do something pretty great with. Whether you're a product, company, or a service company, or a affiliate review company, great. Explain what sets a product apart from its competitors. Again, by knowing that features tell, benefits, you're able to feature those critical things that are important. They'll stand out to your prospect, and that'll make you guys a winner. I promise you, if you do that properly. What makes you different? Cover comparable products to consider. Cover comparable products to consider. Alternatives, right? Substitution. Or explain what products might be best for certain uses or circumstances. So know and share your insight in terms of substitutive and alternative product. You might be great in certain areas. If you have you have to think about your product. If there are 4 or 5 other product that get 80% there to solving that problem, and you do it better, 20% better, you better know what those things are. But you also can maybe appreciate or acknowledge that there's other products out there that, let's say it's a manufacturing thing, and the product that your product can sustain temperatures of 1,000 degrees, right? You may be pointing out that there are other products out there like XYZ that if your product needs are under 500 degrees or 700 degrees, then you don't really need to go and pay that extra amount. Now, you may have another brand product that answers that question better, which you can then kind of plug, or you may even refer. You have partnerships. Maybe we have a manufacturing company out on the West Coast that basically does a very premium product of cutting of very expensive materials, but they also have the kind of the job shop kind of thing, which again, the companies are kind of affiliated together. They kind of work together, but something very, very simple to solve that solution. Remember, that guest is on that page. You can take advantage of it, right? Let's see. Discuss the benefits and drawbacks of product, particularly based on research you have. We've covered that above, right? Describe how a product has evolved from previous models or releases and provide improvements, address issues, otherwise help users in making purchase decisions. This is awesome. We have a client that, I don't mind giving them a shout out. Sorry, you're never supposed to leave. You're never supposed to leave them, but this product right here, it's called the Dust Catcher. This is I think it's the 3rd or 4th refrigerator version of it. They did actually a podcast interview with a company talking about the evolution of the product. They had the pictures up there. It was really cool to see the different variations of this thing over time. These are available now at Home Depot and at dustcatcher.com, by the way. But the product has evolved over time with this thing right here, this material right here, even how it's cut, I think, was another one. But it was really a really cool story. So when it came down to it, it shows a couple of things, you guys. It shows first that you're listening, that you're listening to your customers. That's a wonderful thing for a brand to be able to shout from the hilltops, right? The second thing it talks about is that you're actually solving their problem, right? So when they changed this rubber thing from version 1 to version 3 or 4, whatever it is now, there was a reason why they did that with those textured walls and things like that. This vulcanized rubber, I think it's vulcanized rubber. Don't hold me to that, but on the website it's there. But this rubber allows for that contouring of these lovely textured walls like what we have in Florida here. Allows you to catch all that dust as opposed to using some type of DIY kind of thing going on, right? So great opportunity. And then search engines love that stuff, right? These pages have been kind of evolving. You owned it originally with rankings over here, and now that product has even gotten better, right? So how cool is that? Oh, and by the way, link your content, by the way. For you SEOs out there, please, for the love of God, don't just change a page. Go ahead and use that page and, kind of build on those new pages. Give them some love off of that, which is great. Google will find it. DuckDuckGo will find it. No worries, okay? Other things to be thinking about here. Identify key decision-making factors for the product and category and how the product performs in those areas. For example, car review might determine fuel economy, safety, and handling are key decision-making factors and rate performance in those areas. We've already covered that, right? Describe key choices of a product and how they've been designed for their effect on the users beyond what the manufacturer says. Guys, think outside the box. If you have tolerances, we have a trailer manufacturer, right? And they've got the best. They literally have the best paint because paint is always, those big, like the big Caterpillar, machines that you see on the road. Those have to get to those job sites somehow, but they have these trailers specifically designed for, or windmill blades, these massive trucks that extend 5 and 6 sections out, right? So they've got these trucks, but one of the big problems is as these metal things clank together, they bust and chip paint off, and it look horrible, and they rust and they weaken the structure, and they result in a decrease in the amount of lifetime that can be on that truck. Plus, it looks just crappy, right? So the increase in paint, right? The performance that the paint has an impact in how long the truck is going to be on the road, right? So think about those features turning into the benefit for the customer, right? That quality paint allows for a better appearance of your trucks, which is important, but it also maintains their short-term and mid-term liability in terms of rust, right, and body integrity. But then long-term, they get to keep that truck for a longer period of time. So thinking about those things, even taking it a step further, if let's say that same truck, that same trailer could take, let's say, 10 tons of weight. I'm making this up, right? But let's say that's what they're comfortable saying in their stuff. I wonder if it can go 20 or 15, right? Before it breaks. Those are kind of things that are way beyond, especially if you're doing product or reviews, to be able to go ahead and really kind of test that. And I think like the will it blend people, that's like the best stories, right? People aren't going to want to blend a golf ball, but to see a golf ball blended is kind of cool, even though they're never going to blend a golf ball, right? It drives home the point and is really interesting. So they blended pretty much anything in there, and they made it kind of like a game, right? It went virtual because people would challenge them to blend whatever hardest piece of crap they could find, and it took off, right? So it's kind of those things as a review company, potentially, go ahead and really turn things up a little bit. How-to videos, all that fun stuff. Really that in-depth interview. I'm constantly trying to figure out settings on cameras, right? And YouTube is fantastic. For every one Canon video I see, I shouldn't probably use that sound when I'm doing a webcast, but hey, whatever. I see 9 or 10 other really well done videos where Canon totally missed the mark. Why? Because I was trying to solve a problem. I'm trying to film in dark or on black, right? I need to know what settings the cameras need to be on. Both my DLSR camera as well as my video camera. Need to know what settings those are. What is the best lighting scenario? Guess what? Canon, you're missing. Big brand. Hello. Huge opportunity. Okay. So it's things like that, guys, that you have the opportunity to get back. One, if you do the keyword insight, there's certain words that you're always going to want to rank for, right? I get it. And those you should know, you should own, you should make sure you're showing up organically for those, and also paid. If it's a local search, the Google My Business stuff, that's fantastic. Video, you should own that space. If you're not there, you have to call us, like seriously, like those are foundational issues that need to be there that you probably need outside help with, even global brands, by the way. Okay. The other side of that is which keywords for every one of those branded terms, or product branded terms, or company branded terms, there's dozens upon dozens of other potential keywords out there that you want to own. Okay. Well, that could be a huge bucket if you think about all the keywords that are related to a product or service, right? In terms of reviews, variations, competitive product, all that fun stuff. So there's all that opportunity. Now, which ones do you go after? We use Keyword Insight for it, which is actually a test, which identifies which keywords your brand, your product, your service, your competitors, which keywords we should be going after, right? So now that we've got that, we can then get to work. Well, just what we're talking about here, folks, we can then go into what current pages are ranking, find where there's a gap, and build that stuff out, right? So you're doing it in a very scientific, very strategic way that allows you to get some real benefit off of that, right? So there's a huge opportunity with this. So I would just encourage you potentially to, you could do this yourself. You may have the team in place to go do this, but then again, you may not. So, we've shared a lot of information here. I do believe if you're a product or service, you need to be reevaluating those pages that you've created about your product or service. And you need to be building out features and benefits and follow these kind of simple guidelines that Google's kind of laid out. And by the way, not just do that for those content pages, but then taking it a step further, promoting that content. If there's 5 or 6 feature benefit stories that you want to be able to tell with a product, you need to have campaigns assigned to each and every one of those and start pushing those on Google using paid search, making sure they're optimized for search, doing YouTube, potentially LinkedIn advertising, right? There's a whole bunch of things. If you're a B2B as well, you need to be concerned with that product search and that conversion potentially, right? But from a B2B standpoint, you also need to think about when it hits the salesperson's job, when it hits them, what kind of things are you augmenting there about what you know about that prospect? If your conversion cycle looks to be 6 months, your salespeople will be able to tell you what the typical triggers are. You need to be building content in there based on that specific benefit and value that prospect came in from. So you need to be using your content management systems and your email marketing systems and your brochures and things like that to support your sales teams. So again, I know that there's a lot there. I know that's what a lot of you are tasked with doing. But every single time we go into a business engagement, we see huge holes and opportunities to be able to really amp up business. That's why we can claim, give us 6 months. We'll give you your money back. But we'll solve those problems for you. Okay. So I would love to hear from you. Hopefully this was helpful. Please subscribe and sign up to get the e-newsletter at marketingwebcast.live. There's a link there to sign up, but also again, go ahead and follow the channel. We have a Facebook group now for the 11 a.m. Monday Morning Marketing Webcast. Feel free to go ahead and subscribe to that, or go to the YouTube channel and make sure that you're subscribed there as well. Love to hear from you. If you have comments or questions, by all means, my email address, you can email me, you can contact me via the form on our website at Doc29. You can set up a 15-minute complimentary consult with me. We can kind of figure out some things that maybe you have questions about. Maybe there's an opportunity to help you. Maybe we'll get some insights in there, want to bounce some ideas off of, so that you can then take those to your team. Hey, that's great. We can handle that as well. So thanks so much for joining me this morning. Appreciate it. Have a great week, folks. We will see you back here next week at 11 a.m. for the 11 a.m. Monday Morning Marketing Webcast. Take care. Bye-bye.